Hello, sweet friends. It's Sarah at Crochet.With.Coffee, and thank you so much for joining me for week 2 of our random picks for our Persian tile blanket. So today we are going to be doing random picks for an octagon and 2 half squares. So last week we did this square. If you haven't watched last week and you want to know what the colors are and you want to be surprised, turn this off and go to that one because I'm going to show it. All right, so this was last week's. I still have not done my tails. I've put it off. I know I was talking about trying to get them done this week, but that didn't happen. But those are such pretty colors. So let's do our picks and see what we get for this week. To start off with, I have my iced coffee. I made this one. I'll put it up on the screen. I did make coffee with me type thing. For iced coffee, the thing that I like the most is the instant coffee, and then I add a little bit of hot water and a little bit of today I did agave. I normally don't drink my coffee sweet, but today I felt like I wanted it for our little crochet session because it takes a little bit of time, and I figured I will enjoy my lovely cozy coffee while we do our crocheting today. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, whatever it is that you like, grab that. We're going to have our little fun crochet session. So pick number 1. Are you guys excited? I was so happy with last week that I'm really excited to see what this week is going to be. And also, I'm going to be trying out the hook that I showed you guys on Monday that I got on Amazon. If you're interested, I put it in my Amazon storefront, but it is an inline hook, which is one I typically, let's see if I can get it. Focus. I typically don't use inline. I normally use tapered hooks. So typically I don't get inline hooks, but this one was too pretty not to get. So I got this one, and I told you guys I would let you know how I like it. So I'm going to be testing it out today, and I'll let you know my immediate thoughts, and then I'll keep working with it and let you know more on Monday too, if it changes at all. So our first pick. Okay. I love this. I'm so excited. All right. First pick. Brown. All right. So we're going to start with brown. So what I really like about this pattern, if you purchase the pattern, there's a chart in there. And I really love going off of charts because the first way I learned how to crochet was from a book, and there were a lot of diagrams and a lot of charts and different things like that. So I definitely go better off of a chart than to read instructions. I've just learned to adapt to that, and that's my favorite way to read a pattern, especially if I read through the words of the pattern and then I go back and I see the chart, then it makes even more sense than, I could figure it out from a chart, but it's that's my favorite way of doing that. Did I do magic ring to start with? Let me see. No, I followed the instructions. Okay. So it's starting with the chain ring. So let me do that. I always start my centers with a magic ring. So did anybody start to work on their Persian tile blanket? Is anybody doing it with me? Has anybody purchased the pattern or watched the videos on making these squares? I'd love to know what you're making. And in the community page, you can find that on my channel. So if you go to my channel homepage and you hit the community button, you can post pictures on there. So if you guys are making this, I would love to see your color palette and what you have done so far. That would be so much fun to see what colors you guys picked and how it's going. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more sides, and then we'll do our next pick. First row is complete. Oh, you know what? I told you guys that I was working with a 5mm last week. I switched from a 5.5mm to a 5. So I'm not going to be able to test this one out. I do have another project though that I am going to work with, but as far as it went, it felt like a typical inline hook. Like I've shared with you guys before the tip here on the little hook part. That always catches and splits my yarn when I use them for some reason. So it was still doing the same thing as far as that goes, but that is the same thing for me with any inline hook. So I'm going to take more time. I do have another project that I'm using a 5.5 on, so I'll use that for that one. But the stitches were nice. Right, I forgot. But what I can test out is this other Amazon hook that I got that I showed you guys on Monday. This is the tapered, come on, focus. That's the tapered one. So this is a 5mm. So I will test this one out and see how that goes. Okay. All right, second pick. Toffee. Pick number 2. Yeah, so far this hook feels like a regular tapered hook. It's one that I would definitely pick up to use. The handle is a little bit thinner on the part where my pinkies hold, right on this part, because I typically use the Hobby Lobby one. As you can see, this one is a little bit wider. I guess maybe it's just they're the same length. I don't know. I think this part right here, because that's wider, it works well on my pinky. But it feels good in your hand, and I like the way that it's stitching. All right, let me work this row up really quick, and then I will be back to do our next pick, our pick number 3.
Working on it, that I was like, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And my husband would go, but is that what it looks like in the AI picture? I was like, oh, dang it, that's right. I'm supposed to be recreating this sweater. So I tend to.
All right, row number 2. Let's pick our third color. We have cinnamon. I love this orange so much. It's so pretty. I'll be right back. I'll show you what I get. Oh, it's all wonky. All right, there are the colors. I love it. Pick number 4. Ooh, yay! So this is the, it's gonna be this section where the brown is. That's what is going on this row. All right, it's gonna be so fun. I can't wait. And I do like this hook. I think it's nice. It flows well for me for the type of feel that I'm used to. So I do like it. I think it's nice. I love this green. I'm gonna love no matter where it is in this blanket. I love it so much. All right. Rest. Yay. row 5. Row 5. Love it. Looking cute. All right, color 6. I'm going to guess without looking. Let's say ivory. Do you think I'll be right? Nope, mustard. I like it though. I mean, I love all of these colors. I love my crooked. Here. Let me scooch over. There we go. I love all these colors. I picked them, right? Let's get row, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row 6. Row 6. And we're back. All finished with this row. What was it? 3, 4, 5, 6. Row 6. Row 7. There's the ivory. That's the one that I was supposed to get last time. We're gonna add it. Our last one's gonna be red on that. That's gonna be pretty. I'll be back. Done with 7. And we know the one that's left, and that is the color wine. Last color. And then I'm going to tally all of those colors up so I can make sure we keep track of how many times they have been picked, and put the ones back in the jar that are not our border colors, and do our remaining 3 picks for this octagon. And then we'll be moving on to our squares. I'll be back to show you what this row looks like. Oh, I didn't even realize this is part of our fan. So the fans that are on here. So last time we did have red fans for half of them. So we got the same, or the wine color. So wine is also going to be the fans for this one. And then we'll see what the second group of fans, what color that's going to be. So I have an issue. I was doing my fans, and then I realized that the space that I need to go into does not exist, because you see this little guy that's supposed to be attached to something? It's not. So that has thrown off the whole rest of the row. So I have to take out all the fans, the white row, the mustard row, and most of the orange row, because that's where I made the mistake, right there. I'll be back. Let's take a look, see if I did it right this time. All right, looks good. Okay, we did it. All right, let's mark these real quick. Do I have a pen? So last time I also messed up on the fan part, and that was a big bummer. And this time was also the same thing. That was super frustrating. It took me quite a while. I didn't even time myself. It took me a while to get back into the groove. And I'm super bummed out because it set me back. I forgot to keep out my 2 border colors this time. All right, I gotta keep out cinnamon and green apple. Everything else is going back in. So we have 3 more colors to pick. Three more colors. What do you think the other fan is gonna be? I'm gonna guess it will be mustard. Nope. I got those switched. My 2 guesses were opposite. Oh, I forgot. I need to keep out my last, was it my last color? Okay, here's a problem that I wasn't thinking about. So I need to keep out my last 2 colors to be accurate because it's going to be touching this one and I don't want all the fans the same color. So I do have to keep out ivory. And I wasn't even thinking of that. Okay, I need to keep out ivory and I need to keep out wine. So there's only 4 colors that go back in there. How did I mess that up? Weird. Last time we got lucky, I guess, and didn't pick that color. All right, let's see. Maybe I will get mustard this time. Oh, I did. Okay, mustard. And what fell out? The color rust fell out. Okay, so mustard is the one. So we're gonna have wine fans and mustard fans. Let me add these and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Our fans are finally done. There we go. We got it. They're all in the right place. Yay. Next pick. So we still have 2 more picks. Brown. Get started on this one and we'll be back for our last pick to see which one we get. We've got toffee and rust. So we'll see which one we end up with. So here is the last row that we did. So that is row number 8. That is our square or our octagon so far. We have we've got one more pick to pick. See which one this is gonna be. Oh, a rust. Okay, so we're gonna do rust for this row. I'm going to finish that row up. So now that we have our last pick for that before we do our border rows, I am going to do the picks for our squares now as well because I am a little tight on time today. I have to go do some things with the family, and especially because I had to redo all those rows, I didn't have the amount of time that I thought I was going to have today. So I will be back tomorrow. It's still going to be in this video. I'm going to check back in tomorrow, show you what the finished squares and the finished octagons look like, or the finished octagon looks like, and we will recap tomorrow. But let's do our picks for our squares, because we have 2 half squares today. And I also want to just mark these down real quick. Square number 1, and I still have my, oh wait, I can add something in here. What do I have? Okay, I can add wine back in, and I can add ivory back in. And I have my other ones. Okay. So I need 4 colors. So first square is going to start with ivory. Next color is going to be rust. Ivory, rust. Wine. And mustard. All right, ivory, rust, wine, mustard. That is going to be our first square. Let me mark these off really quick, and 4 more. Ivory again. Wine. Rust. Mustard. Same colors. We still had toffee and chocolate in there. We had the same colors, different order for both squares. That is funny. All right. Let me put everything back in the jar, and then I am going to go finish those up. I will see you tomorrow, and I'll show you what we have for the octagon and the 2 half squares. All right, we're back. Day number 2. I am done with the trim of these, the half squares and the octagon. So let's go over the half squares first. And these were from me. I completed these yesterday. So there's one and there's the other. They are so similar. The 2 swapped places right there. Isn't that weird? It's so funny. Okay, and then we have, I should probably mark all of these as like which weeks they are, because I don't know when I attach them, if I want to attach them in the same order that they were made, or if I just want to see where they all fit. I might end up doing that. It just really depends on the flow of everything. Like I might end up doing all the octagons in the right order and then just switch out where the squares go, because I'm not really doing them in any certain order, because like we did all the corners in 1 week, and then I did 2 halves this week. So I'm not sure. We'll see. All right, so this was the octagon. It came out really pretty. I don't mind the mustard and the mustard there now that it's all done. I think it's really pretty. So you want to see last week compared to it? So this is last week. We have this week and last week. We've got, I like that. They're really pretty. I like the white here out in the outside more so than right in the center, because it breaks it up a little bit. I like that. And I think I like the green in this one better. I think so far week number 2 is my favorite one, because I like how the colors are dispersed more. Isn't that crazy? We used the same colors and gave ourselves the same option, but this is a darker octagon and this is a brighter one just because of where the colors are located. That's so neat. I love it. And then I love that the edges are all matching and then the centers are all different. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you join me again next week to see what our next octagon and our next squares look like. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to join me for future videos, including our next Wednesday mystery pick, please hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you return. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you find joy in the little things.